Gain staging. What is it and why does it matter? Stay tuned to find out.
LaBella, bring the heat.
What's up, everybody? My name's Chris, and welcome back to another edition of Tech Tip Tuesdays. Tech Tip. If you want more production tutorials, mix tips, industry advice, and or fresh beats 3 times a week, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Today we're going to be talking about gain staging, a fundamental principle that is absolutely crucial to understand if you want to get good quality recordings and ultimately a good quality mix. Essentially, gain staging is just making sure that the audio signal maintains an optimal level at each stage of the recording and mixing process, from recording the sound to going through EQ and compression, reverb, and all of the other effects, all the way to the final mix. So in order to demonstrate this principle, let's go ahead and dive into Pro Tools where I can give you a little example. Alright, so Pro Tools was acting up with my screen recording software, so I decided to go with Logic instead. But it's okay because it's all pretty much the same principles. Well, it's exactly the same principles, but all done pretty much the same way. I got a little vocal sample pulled in here. Let's go ahead and just give it a listen raw.
She's a lover in the worst way. Yeah, I tried to love her, but she wouldn't stay.
Now, as you can see, the raw audio was peaking around -10 decibels, which leaves plenty of headroom for it to be turned up or down in the mix. So then as we add our EQ, and then I like to do one compressor that has like a quick attack and release to tame the transients of the sound, and another compressor with a slower attack and release to glue everything together. So if we listen to that through with these on here.
She's a lover in the worst way. Yeah, I tried to love her, but she wouldn't stay.
So as you can see, the input level of that audio signal was -9.7 decibels. And then it was having -6.6 decibels of gain reduction. And then the output level was -9.1. So then that was going from this compressor into this compressor. And as you can see here,
she's a lover in the worst way. Yeah, I tried to love her, but she wouldn't stay.
On this one, I'm going for around 3 to 4 decibels of gain reduction, and then ultimately it's ending up peaking at around -9.4. So it got a little bit louder through these two things, but really it just kind of squeezed the vocal together so that it can come through a little bit clearer, tighter. Well, that's all for another day.
She's a lover in the worst way. Yeah, I tried to love her, but she wouldn't stay.
So then, yeah, it's outputting at -9.4. And now let's hear what would happen if that input signal was too loud. So I have an identical track right here, same plugins, all except for this gain plugin, which I put before it, which I used to turn the signal up by 19 decibels. So this is an extreme example, but it'll be good to get my point across here. So
she's a lover in the worst way. Yeah, I tried to love her, but she wouldn't stay.
now you can see how that just sounds super squished, and it sounds a lot louder, but it's only 0.3 decibels louder than the original track. And if we look at what's going on with these plugins,
she's a lover in the worst way. Yeah, I tried to love her, but she wouldn't stay.
so when it's going into the plugin, it's peaking at around over 6 decibels, which is causing it to clip. And then it's getting -22 decibels of gain reduction, and then it's coming back out at -5.1 decibels. So it's coming in way, way hot, getting squashed a lot more, getting squashed like 4 or 5 times more, but then still only getting put out about 4 decibels quieter than the original signal. And if you look at this one,
she's a lover in the worst way. Yeah, I tried to love her, but she wouldn't stay.
it's getting overcompressed at around 5 decibels. So let's listen to how that sounds. Never mind what the meters say. Listen just how that sounds. The original one.
She's a lover in the worst way. Yeah, I tried to love her, but she wouldn't stay.
And then the one with the signal that is way too hot.
She's a lover in the worst way. Yeah, I tried to love her, but she wouldn't stay.
So as you can tell, the second one just sounds muffled and distorted and just super compressed. Now let's take a look at what would happen if the signal coming in was too low. So again, I have the same exact track, but on this one I turned it down by, well, let's turn it down even further. turned it down by negative 19 decibels.
She's a lover in the worst way. I tried to love her, but she wouldn't stay.
So let me just try to get this to the same kind of output level. Let's see here. Let's do this one. -4.
She's a lover in the worst way. Yeah. I tried to love her, but she wouldn't stay.
Alright, so it's hitting negative 10 decibels, which is what it was hitting originally too, but
she's a lover in the worst way.
if we look at what's happening on these plugins,
she's a lover in the worst way. Yeah. I tried to love her, but she wouldn't stay.
it's barely even triggering these plugins at all. It's getting negative 0.1 gain reduction on the Pro C and barely moving the needle at all
she's a lover in the worst way.
on the SSL. So, I mean, this could be adjusted by adjusting the threshold, but well, what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that even though the plugins have the exact same settings on all three channels, what they're actually doing to the sound is completely different because of the level of the sound that's coming in. So that's why gain staging is important, making sure that the level coming into each stage of the process, from recording to your first plugin, second plugin, etc., all the way through the master mix bus, is sticking around the same level. So let's go ahead and just listen to that one more time. So this is the original one.
She's a lover in the worst way. Yeah. I tried to love her, but she wouldn't stay.
And you see how at each stage of the process, I'm trying to keep it around the same level. So it comes in at negative 9.7 and it leaves at negative 9.1. It got a little bit of gain boost, but not too much. If I was really being more picky with it, I would try to get it almost exactly the same. And then it's coming through the SSL.
She's a lover in the worst way. Yeah. I tried to love her, but she wouldn't stay.
So yeah, then it's coming out at around 9.4, negative 9.4. So between negative 9.7 to negative 9.1, back to negative 9.4, it's all staying in a relatively tight range, which means that the signal is passing through optimally. Now, one thing you want to note is that a lot of these plugins, especially the ones that emulate analog gear, they're optimized to accept a signal at negative 18 decibels. So it's always better to err on the side of being quieter because you can always turn that signal up later. The Sweetwater has a really nice graphic that illustrates where the noise floor is and why it's important to get that optimal level, like right in the middle zone, because you don't want things to be too quiet where that noise from any of your gear ends up creeping into the signal and corrupting it, and you don't want things to be too loud where any unexpected peaks will end up clipping. So you want to make sure things are loud enough to be sent through properly while still leaving plenty of headroom. So you want to leave at least like 10 to 15 or more decibels of headroom while they're mixing, so that you can end up with a mix that has 6 decibels of headroom for the mastering engineer. Oh yeah, and so one thing I want to note though too is, this is like a general guideline, but ultimately you want to make sure that you use your ears and do what sounds good. Sometimes it sounds really good to overcompress something, or sometimes it sounds really good for something with clip. I know a lot of people like to put their kick drum all the way so that it's clipping, so that it gives it that little bit more of attack coming through smaller speakers. But the thing is, you can accomplish that in other ways than just pushing the fader all the way up. You can accomplish that with either putting a little bit of saturation so that it has that distortion, or you can clip things within the plugins. You can clip things by turning up the gain in certain plugins to shape the tone in a controllable way. But I never recommend letting things clip while you're recording, because that is something that you can't undo. So always make sure you're using proper gain staging during recording, and 90% of the time make sure you're using proper gain staging during your mixing. But there are certain circumstances where you do just want to crank it going through plugins. Like for instance, mixing my sub, I love to crank that sub before it goes into any plugins, so that any compression and saturation that it gets really cuts through on the small speakers. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about gain staging. It's a pretty simple concept when you break it down. You just got to make sure that things aren't too loud, really. If you're new to my channel, you might not know that every Friday I post a beat that anybody can download for free promotional use. I also pick one person who comments within the first 24 hours and let them pick any beat in my store for a free, untagged, high-quality WAV download with standard license rights so they can use it for profit. Let's give a shout out to last week's winner. If you want a free beat, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit that bell so you don't miss this Friday's video. Before we part ways today, I want to take a minute to pay my respects to the late, great Kobe Bryant. The tragedy of his death and the death of his daughter, along with the 7 other people on that helicopter, is being felt the world over. And I gotta say, made it really hard to record this video today. Growing up, basketball was a major part of my life. I played on 3 intramural teams, and every day at recess, my friends and I would go out to the short hoops on the playground and try to emulate Kobe's gravity-defying dunks. I could go on for days about how he inspired me to fly, or how him and his Mamba mentality inspired me and millions of others to believe in ourselves and never stop following our passions. Nothing I could say would mean as much as these words from the man himself. The lesson I cherish the most is how important it is to love what you do. If you love what you do and it's making you happy, all the work and perseverance will pay off. I once had a guidance counselor tell me that I shouldn't play basketball, that it would never amount to anything for me. His negativity toward me made me stronger. You can't stop people from trying to limit your dreams, but you can stop it from becoming your reality. Your dreams are up to you. I encourage you to always be curious, always seek out things you love, and always work hard once you find it. And with that, I'll let you carry on the evening. Please know I'm thinking of you, supporting you, and encouraging you always. Peace.